Hello everyone, it's Amy, and I'm going to make some storage today to store some of the things that we've made on Build Your Stash and Craft, like my dragonflies and my the cards that I made and things like that, because they're kind of filling up my roll top desk and I need some place to put them. So I am going to make it out of a cereal box. You'll need a cereal box, and you'll also need some corrugated cardboard, that's heavy cardboard, for your shelves. So I'm going to make 2 boxes and put them back to back so that I have shelves on both sides. But if you'd like to make one, you can make one, or you could make none if you don't want to make them. But what I'm going to do is I am going to measure down from the top of my box, because the top of the box is not super solid, but I don't want to lose my flaps. I want a nice top. I'm going to come down 1/4 inch from the top of my box. And actually, when you look at your rulers, they always have this little, I don't know if you can see it right there, that little extra bit. So normally when you're measuring, you want to make sure that you start at the very first line. I'm actually just going to line my ruler up with the top of my box and then just do 1/4 inch. So that will actually be a little less than 1/4 inch. But I'm just going to do like that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a line, even though I don't have to have one. I'm going to line those 3 marks up. I always like to do 3 marks, then whoops. There we go. We will be gluing that down. Okay, now what I've done is I've taken another one of my rulers and I've just put some tape on the back. Just some of our masking tape, and then I'm going to line it up, put it on its edge so my masking tape doesn't touch. Line it up with that line, and then set it down. There we go. And that's just going to help my ruler from slipping, because when you're cutting and you're pushing against your ruler, it tends to want to slip, and you don't want to cut yourself, and you don't want to cut your box in the wrong spot. So that just really helps. You still do need to hold the ruler. Okay, just make sure that we're cut to both sides, and there we go, top's cut. And then I'm just going to take my ruler and again put it up on its edge, come down, and I'm going to start at that mark and just cut it off at the side here. Whoops. And just be careful when you're cutting your last little bit. You don't want to, and I stepped off to the side. You don't want to cut yourself. Okay, and then we're going to do this side, and then the bottom. I thought about leaving it there where it would flap down and come back up and close and make like a little door, but I have decided that I do not want that, because it would really more just be in the way. So again, we're going to cut this side off, and then we can cut the bottom off with a pair of scissors, because it'll be open. Okay, there we go. Make sure that you don't cut your little 1/4 inch at the top. Oh, and I hope that was in shot, because I wasn't even paying attention. So I'm going to open this up, and then I'm just, if you'd like to, you could keep this as a flap and then just put a little button here and a little button at the top, and do a little piece of cording to put them together and keep it closed. And then decorate the whole box. And it would just be something nice and pretty to look at. Whoops, knocked my glue off. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is what we have. We have a little 1/4 inch at the top, and then the rest of them are all flush. Now what I'm going to do is I have some glue here, and dump out the crumbs. I'm going to check my flaps. I'm just going to put, it lifts up a little bit, so I'm just going to put just a little bit of glue under there. Not that big of a deal. But the top, we're going to need to glue the whole thing. Whoops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue here where you could see that there was glue. Put it on the side. Put on the side here. And on this flap and this flap. And a little bit on here. And a little bit on this part of the flap that goes like this, because that will come over top of that one. Fold this one down, fold this one down. Whoops, I went too far. See, I've got glue on the inside. See there? That's okay, we'll just wipe that off, but I just want to give that a really good press. And we just pressing on that. And then I'll just grab a napkin sitting here that Papa left on the table. And just wipe that other glue off. Not going to hurt a thing. All right, now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to take my masking tape and just go around all of these edges. Just kind of measure from top to bottom. I like to do it where it's kind of towards me and then just put it on the inside. Just roughly figure halfway and put it over the edges. Just kind of cleans up those edges and sturdies up the edges. So I'm going to do that all the way around, and I'm going to tape across the top and the bottom where their flaps come together. So I'm going to do here and I'm going to do here, but then also here where this top comes together. Oops, just want to measure about how long that is. Okay, and I don't know if you can see this, but when I put this together, I put it together crooked. So I'm going to pull that up. Both sides are crooked. There we go. The glue is still very wet, even though it was really sticking, so I don't need any more glue. I just need to press that back together. Good thing I noticed it before it got too dry, because that would have made the whole box cocked sideways. Alright, now I am just going to, where the flap is, I'm going to just put some tape over that. Just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing across the bottom where the flap would be. Well, the flap is there, but it just didn't get opened. Right there. And here is where the opening is on the bottom. Just press that on really well. And then all four corners here. All of these, two on the top, two on the bottom. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just helps hold it together a little bit until you get it completely done. Once you decorate it, you know, that's also going to help hold it together. So there we go. And then I'm going to take the flap that we cut off the front. And because we cut it already a 1/4 of an inch too short, it's going to fit in the box just fine this way. But it's going to be a little bit tight from side to side. So we're just going to cut off, and this again is just for stability, so there's nothing exact here. I'm just going to cut a little bit off the edge here. There we go. And then put some glue in the bottom. Just like that. And because you're going to see this in the back, well, no, you're not really going to see it, but I still like to put it with the clear side up. And there we go. I just need to tape here, and let this dry a little bit. And then we'll make the shelves. So I'm going to put a heavy book in there to hold that down because I want it to be nice and solid back there. The best thing with your storage is, I'm just putting this on the side. The best thing with storage is the more sturdy that you know, the more solid you can make it, the longer it is going to last. So, you know, when you're doing your gluing and that type of thing, you really want to give that glue time to dry. before you do too much more. Now I know I glued the top because I knew I wanted to tape it, so I had to glue it. And then I taped it right away before it dried. But I did that because the tape also I wanted on there to help hold that glue in place. So, and there we go. So I'm just going to put tape on my top two corners here, here, and here. And even those pieces that I'm putting on those corners, that's to hold those flaps to the sides. Those don't have to be the full length of the corners or whatever. You just want them there to put a little hold on it. The one that we glued, it will hold the glue down, and you know, the other, it will just hold that corner together. So there we go. We're going to let this set for just a little bit and let that glue and the glue that we put on the end and taped in, we're going to let that all get dry, and then I'll be back and we'll put some shelves in it. Okay, I'm back, and now we're going to do the shelves. Now the hardest part about the shelves is the measurements, and they always get me every time, but I tried to write it down for you the way that you would figure out how to make your shelves. Now I'm going to do two configurations. I'm going to do one box with a tall top with just a little drawer on the bottom, and that's so I can put my cards and larger, taller things in there. And I'm going to do one box split into 3 equal sections. So, but the biggest thing that we need to do is the way that I put my shelves in is to put a support all the way around the side, the back, and then up the other side, and that's what holds your shelf. And I'll show you that. I've got this top section here done, and so what that is, this piece of cardboard goes down the side, across the back, and up the other side. That fits right in there. Okay, get that fit in there, and then you take your shelf, and your shelf will sit right against that, and that's what will hold your shelf, instead of just trying to put a shelf in there or just put a little something on the side. This really, it gives you support across the back and up both sides, gives you really good strength. So, and when you're doing this, if you can't, it's okay, but if you can, you want to run your corrugation of your cardboard on your supports up and down, because that's the way that they're the strongest. And on your shelves, you want to run your corrugation the long way, because you're going to have weight on this shelf. So if, let's see here, let me get a piece of my cutting one here. If you do it where the corrugation goes front to back on a shelf and you put a lot of weight on it, it's going to fold like that very easily. If you put it to where your shelf runs the long way, it's not going to, well, this has got a million cuts in it, but, well, let's do this one. Running the long way, it's not going to bend as easy. Now, if this was, the corrugation was going this way, this would really bend just very easily. So, especially with your shelves, you want your corrugation to run side to side, and that one will give you really such much more sturdiness. So this one, what I did was, I just took a piece of, I decided just, I want it this long. The piece that I had left over was this long, so I cut it, I made my shelf, and then I just measured what I had left. So in order to get my support for that last piece, I just need to know what the depth, the width, and the height is. And so basically what you're going to do for your shelf supports, and this is a shelf support, you're going to need to know how deep this is. It's 3.5 inches deep. How wide is it? It is 8 3/8 wide, and then up the other side another 3.5 inches. So you're going to add, for your shelf support, you're going to add the depth plus the width plus the depth, and that will give you the total length of the cardboard that you need to cut. So we've got 3.5 plus 8 3/8 plus 3.5 equals 15 3/8. That's how long I needed to make all of the supports to hold my shelves. So I've done that, and then to figure out your height, this one I just cut it the height that I wanted to cut it. But if you want to do it in equal thirds like the other one, what I did was I just took the height, I divided it by the number of shelves that I wanted, which was, I should say spaces, which was 3. That's actually only 2 shelves. And that gives me the height of how high this support needs to be. And so that would be 10 3/4 divided by 3. 10 3/4 is how high it is. It's approximately 3 5/8. So I cut my shelves at 3.5 inches. I know that that seems like really difficult, but for somebody that wants to know the numbers, that's the way that I figure it. But an easy way to do it, take a long piece of paper that you know will fit from one side to the other. Just take that paper, start right at the top edge, and this you'll want to be kind of careful with. Start at the top edge, go all the way to the bottom, go all the way across, come all the way up the other side to that edge, and put a tear right there. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to measure from where you started to where you ended, which is right here. That's how long your shelf support's going to need to be. That will get you down, over, and up. So that's an easy way to measure it. And then just decide how tall you want your shelves. You can make them any height that you want, and then just measure your very last one. I made this one this high, put a shelf in there, and then I just measured the gap that was left. And I've cut a support that's that long to fit in there. So I just wanted to show you how I cut them. I've already got, these are my 3 supports for my one that's cut into thirds, and this is my last little support for that last piece. And what I do to cut them is I just used a couple of pieces, and you're going to need a couple so that you don't go through. Just a couple pieces of cardboard, and that's going to work as my stopping mat. I just taped my ruler on there, and because my ruler's not quite long enough, I'm going to just cut this first little bit very carefully, and then I'm going to just run along my ruler, and it usually takes about 2 or 3 cuts. Well, that one's already released. Let's cut this last little piece right here. Cut the last little piece right there. And then I've got, line this back up and cut that last piece. And if you can hear that in the background, Grandpa's decided that he is going to shred paper, which is just inside his part of the house, right next to where I'm working. So that's what that noise is. Okay, so now I have 3 of these and 1 of these. We know that we're 3.5 inches deep into our box. So I'm just going to measure 3.5 inches and bend this up. Go from here. 3.5 inches is right here. So I'm just going to hold that down, and just because it's corrugated cardboard, so long as you cut them straight, it's going to bend straight too. Okay, then I'm going to come from the other end for the other side. 3.5 inches is right here. And that one's right on one of the bump up parts of the corrugation, so that's going to bend a little bit over from where I really want it to bend, but it will still work. There we go. That piece fits in there. And so this is what I have for this box. I am going to make a little drawer to put in here, and I'm going to put a front across here. I'm going to do like this on this one, so that I can stack my cards in there. Anything that's tall, I can stack it in there, so it'll have a drawer in the top part. Okay, so we're going to take these 3 supports, and we're going to bend them all at 3.5 inches. Let's see, 3.5 is right here. Oops, didn't really want to do that. And then 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5 is right here. And then we're going to take that and we're going to stick it in this box. Yep, it's great. I've already cut my shelves for that. So there's 1 shelf to fit on top of that one. And then let's just go 3.5. 3.5 is there. I can't believe he's doing that. Yes, I can. Okay, there we go. 3.5 and 3.5. Let's put that one in there. And because the number that I had was not actually divisible by 3, let's see how well my last one fits. see if we're a little tight or see if we're a little loose or if it really actually worked. 3.5. It's right there. And 3.5 is right there. There we go. So we've got that one. That one in and slide it up. Because I had the lip on there, I took the shelf out so that I could put that in and slide it up. Put the shelf back in here. And there we go. That fit really nicely. Make sure that we want to make sure that the shelf is in between your supports. So you want it to be sitting on the bottom support and you want it to be holding up the support above it. And there we go. That works really well. Now I'm going to take masking tape, and in order to keep this all really sturdy, I am going to tape all the way around, tape the support, and tape it to the side of your cereal box. Just like that. And make sure you pull it in nice and tight. And there we go. I'm going to tape all the way around this one, and I'm going to tape all the way around this one, and then I'll be back. The last thing that we have to do is make our drawers. And so what I've done is I've measured across, because we have the supports in here now. We were 18.5 inches or 8.5 inches wide. Now we are only 8 inches wide. And I've decided that I want my drawers to be 3 inches tall, and it is still 3.5 inches deep to bring us flush with the front. So what I've done is our bottom needs to be 8 inches across plus whatever's going to go up both sides, which is 3 inches and 3 inches. So we need 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We need 14 inches in length in order to fold this drawer up. And then we're going to be 3 inches high in the back, 3 1/4 across the bottom, and 3 inches high in the front. That's 3, 6, 9 1/4 inches wide. So a piece of paper or a piece of something sturdy, 14 inches by 9 1/4 inches. And so I have 14 inches here, I have 9 1/4 inches here, and that 14 again is 8 plus 3 plus 3, and then we've got 3 plus 3.5, or not 3.5, 3 1/4. 3 plus 3 1/4 plus 3 is 9 1/4. And then what I did was, because my sides are 3 inches, I just did 3 inches on this end, 3 inches on this end, 3 inches here, and 3 inches here. Drew a nice, really heavy line, because that will help me as far as a score line goes. And then I'm just going to fold. And this is some corrugated cardboard that I got at the scrap store for $1/4 a sheet. I know it's not something that's included in our Build Your Stash supplies. But since this is just a supplement, I didn't have anything 14 inches. If I would have had some more cereal boxes, I would have made it out of a cereal box. But I just used my last 2. So we've got that scored. Then we're going to score it on this 3-inch line. But you can do this with any kind of cardboard box, but a thinner chipboard type box to make your drawers. Okay, and then what you're going to do, it's easy enough. You just go ahead and you cut in from the end. And I'm going to cut this one just a little bit, about 1/4 inch further than my line. I'm going to fold this side up just a little bit further, because I've got 8 inches inside my box here, but by the time I fold all these in, that's going to give us a bulk that's going to make it really tight. And because they're a drawer and I want to pull it out, I don't want it to be really tight. This one I'm just going to cut right to the line. I'm only going to just take a little bit of extra on one end. Okay, and then all we do, oh, I hope I have enough glue left. I might need to go grab some glue. Is we are just going to put some glue on here. Make sure that you get the edges well, and then fold this one up into it. And put some glue on here. Yeah, I'm going to have to grab another one instead of shaking forever. That one's not quite gone, but it's really getting there, so. Alrighty, so put that one on there. Put some glue on here. This is my clear glue, so. And then fold this one up. There we go. Now, oops, I forgot to fold these ones in that little bit extra. And unglue the other end, so that I have a nice score line. And then this one I'm not going to fold quite as far as those two. There we go. Okay, I'm going to fold this other end up to get that glue going. And once I do that, I have some little clamps here from the Dollar Tree. I just like to clamp it. You could put a rubber binder around it when you're done. Just anything to kind of hold it, or you can just hold it yourself for a little bit until that really has a good grab. And then we're just going to put some on here. Put that flap on it, put some on here. Fold up the outer flap, give that a good press, and put our clamps on it and let that sit to dry. And that's how you make a drawer. All three drawers were made that way. The smaller drawer only had 1.5 inch sides, so it was just the same. It was 8 inches wide by 3 1/4 inches deep and 1.5 inches high. So that made it still, it made it 11 inches long by 6 1/4 inches deep in order to fold it up the same way, and then the sides were only folded at 1.5. So that's how you make a drawer, and I will come back and show you what it looks like after I get it all decorated. Okay, so here is my finished box. All I did to decorate it was use my water glue and some of my tissue paper that matches my big box, and I just decoupaged some little shapes on there, and I did that all the way around. So here is the first side with the larger opening, and this is tall enough to hold all of my cards and anything tall that I have, and so that way they're not in my big box getting all messed up. And then I have a little drawer here, and what I did on this one, let me take it out this way, I put my flowers and my scrap monsters in there so they wouldn't get ruined. And I had an old wooden necklace, and so I just pulled all the beads off of that, and then I just put in with a brad and folded it over on the inside as a little knob, more for looks really, but it works as a knob. And then I also put glue behind the bead before I put that on there, and to put those on I just measured halfway across and halfway between the top and the bottom and poked a little hole, and then that's where I pushed my brad through. And then the other side looks like this. So, and on that side, in the top drawer, I just put, of course these are because I laid it on its side, but I put all of my little gems in there. I have some of my dragonflies in there. And then this drawer is empty. And in this bottom drawer, I put, these are just little fruit cups that I get from the Dollar Tree. And we went out to eat once, and they had these little tiny pies. And so I kept these little tiny pie tins, because you never know what you might use them for. They're just really cute. One of my extra paint jars. Top off of a shampoo bottle, because that oval is really nice for making marks. I have a rubber band that came around our mail, a couple of old, like when they send you stuff in the mail and it has what seems to be like a real credit card. Keep all of those because they're great mark makers. And a little bottle top from a hairspray. I got a little can top there. I saw some little shakers made with those. Don't forget to save your little tops off your cans. Some milk lids and a milk ring, and just different mark makers in that drawer. So don't forget to save mark makers. Also remember, if you get some bubble wrap on something, to save the bubble wrap. That is the best mark maker that you can find. And so that is how this storage box turned out. I love it. It works really great, except when you tip it on its side. But that gives me a lot more space to store things. I wanted a space to store my completed projects that I haven't actually used yet, because they were just getting in the way in my supply box. But I'll take the phone down here really quick and just give you a quick look this way. So that's what it looks like on the side, and on the other side, on this side. So, and the way this turned out when I measured it, my bottom drawer has a larger space than the other two drawers. So it actually has like a gap here. So it kind of looks like it's really sticking out, but it's not sticking out much further than the others. It's just that you see that gap. So, and I wanted all three drawers the same size. It was just easier for me. So I could have made that drawer a ½ an inch taller, but I just wanted it for storage, and this is what works for me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.